This is one of few schools for the blind and hearing impaired in South Sudan. Located in the capital, Juba, Rajaf Educational Center was started in 1982, just before the South plunged into 22 years of a guerrilla war that culminated in a peace agreement which set the stage for independence from the North in 2011. Jamie Anthony, the principal at Rajaf, remembers the struggles faced by the school during the war.
When we came here and the Norwegians have stopped their funds, it was difficult for us to continue with the rehabilitation program because it is very expensive and the students are accommodated in the boarding school. So feeding them was a problem. So what we did was we decided to stop the rehabilitation program. We start integrating our former students to ordinary schools.
With independence, Rajaf, like most institutions disrupted by a drawn-out conflict, is struggling to establish itself. Rajaf caters for 350 people with disabilities from across the country. The government has called on international organizations to help Rajaf with teachers and materials such as braille books and abacuses, but the lack of funds and large-scale support means the current situation there is difficult for both staff and students. Throughout the country, stigma towards people with disabilities remains high.
People don't look at their capabilities as human beings, but they look at their disabilities, thinking they may not be in position actually to implement or to prosecute the activities that actually they require him to do it.
27-year-old Henry Swaka is an advocacy officer with Handicap International. The communications graduate from Juba University was born blind. Alongside his advocacy responsibilities, Swaka was recently appointed into the country's constitutional review team, where he is expected to represent the needs of the disabled in South Sudan. Plans are underway to review the constitution to protect the rights of disabled people in the country.
We are implementing a project called Non-State Actors, empowering groups and organizations of people with disabilities to represent their needs and rights in development processes. So we work with our partners, which are the disabled people's organizations. So one of my roles is to coordinate the activities, especially advocacy activities.
Experts say reversible or treatable eye diseases like cataracts, river blindness and trachoma are probably responsible for half the cases of blindness in South Sudan, with 2009 statistics showing that 2% of the population is blind. It was not until the end of the civil war in 2005 that international health organizations and government officials were given a chance to reach many of the rural communities at risk of these diseases. Even within Juba, lack of knowledge about eye care and treatment means patients often do not go to the clinic early enough to save their sight. When the blindness sets in, so does the stigma. Experts say blind people are often assigned a family member to help them, a situation that is seen as a drain to family resources. Part of Swaka's job is to educate people not only about the abilities of blind people, but also about the rights of the disabled.
The fact is that we can do whatever others are doing if we have the same chances is if we, if we are empowered equally. Yeah. So, of course, we need a society where people with disabilities can contribute effectively. Basically, what we need the Constitution to do is to mainstream disability. Of course, people with disabilities are equal citizens of South Sudan, and so their rights should be respected as the rights of others are also respected.
Tens of thousands of people in South Sudan were disabled by shrapnel and landmines during the two-decade-long war with Sudan, while thousands more were disabled through birth defects, diseases, and accidents.